Evening, folks. The Charter Township of Van Buren Board of Trustees, May 19th, 2015. Regular board meeting will come to order at 7 o'clock. Would you please rise with me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are broadcast live over Van Buren TV Channel 12. Any comments from the public that are not related to the item being discussed will be heard under non-agenda items. Clerk Wright, would you take the roll, please?
Yes. Trustee Jar,
Here.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee McClanahan,
Excused.
Trustee Hart,
Excused.
Treasury Bud,
Here.
Clerk Wright is here, Supervisor Combs.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Tonight's agenda, as it was presented to begin with, there was a clerical error, so you have an amended agenda in front of you. Item number 2 originally said that it was to consider the approval of ordinance number 05-19-2015, and this will be the first reading of that ordinance as opposed to approval of it. So with that correction, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion from Treasurer Bud and support from Clerk Wright to approve the agenda as amended. Is there discussion on the motion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the work study session minutes of April 20th, 2015, the closed session minutes of April 20th, 2015, the regular board meeting minutes of April 21st, 2015, special work study session minutes of May 6th, 2015, closed session minutes of May 6th, 2015, special board meeting minutes of May 12th, 2015, prepaid lists from April 24th, April 30th, May 8th, and May 14th of 2015, and voucher lists from May 5th and May 19th. And also the approval of the clerical revision to Resolution 2014-10 authorizing an industrial facilities exemption for Costco Wholesale Corporation. That's a housekeeping item, it's just to correct a typo.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
I have a motion from Treasurer Bud and support from Trustee Jar to approve as presented. Is there discussion on that motion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Tonight, we have a public hearing scheduled. That's to establish the assessment role for the Venetian, Jeanette, and DeWitt Road Improvement Special Assessment District. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Trustee Jar and support from Trustee Miller to open the public hearing. Is there discussion on that motion? Discussion on from anyone in the audience? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Public hearing is opened at 7:03 p.m. Director Knowles, please.
Good evening. The first public hearing on this special assessment district was held 2 weeks ago. At that meeting, the specifics of the project was discussed. The board heard comments and answered questions from the public. At that same meeting, the board took action to 1, establish the legal district for the purpose of a special assessment, and 2, set the boundaries, that is, the lots that are included in the district. The purpose of the public hearing this evening is to hear any objections to the roll as presented. That is, anyone who wants to protest the assessment must speak tonight and be noted in the meeting minutes. They will then need to file their protests with the State Tax Tribunal within 30 days following this hearing. The proposed roll is for 5 years, and the formula is 1 lot equals 1 share. Later in this meeting, you will be considering actions on 2 other matters related to the Special Assessment District. 1, consider approval of the Special Assessment District assessment roll, and 2, consider approval authorizing a loan to the SAD from the landfill fund. In addition, you will be considering other matters related to both the SAD and the Waldenwood subdivision work, including: 1, consider approval of the memorandum of understanding between the Walden Woods Homeowners Association and the township for road rehabilitation funding. 2, consider approval of the contract with Wayne County for the Local Roads Initiative Program and authorize the clerk and supervisor to execute the agreement. And 3, consider approval of the contract with Wade Trim Associates to perform engineering services under the Local Roads Initiative Program for both the SAD project and the Walden Woods subdivision project, and authorize the clerk and supervisor to execute the agreement.
Thank you. Does anyone on the board have any comments or questions on this agenda item? Okay, audience members have questions or discussion on this. This is the public hearing. This is your chance to speak. Do we have anyone who would like to come to the podium and speak?
Catherine Howard, and I'm speaking on this public hearing due to the fact of the petition that was presented to us in our area. I would have to ask of the people that I know that were misrepresented out in the audience if I can speak for them. The people that were told something incorrectly, can I speak for you? Yes, you can. Okay. First of all, I have just recently, because I never got a copy, of the letter from Dawn Atkins.
I did give you a letter.
Sir,
You gave me a
sir,
letter and it went to somebody else.
wait. You'll have a chance to speak here in just a minute, sir.
Okay.
Okay. I have since read it, and I did not like the way it was presented, and I felt very bad because I had asked people with Gary, I showed him houses, when was the best time to get them, because I was presented the information that this was going to be, not this, but originally if I signed that petition, it would be for a meeting so we could find all about it. We never had that meeting. The very next day that I signed, I came up and I spoke to Mr. Knowles. And I asked him, it was on a special assessed sheet of paper, if my people sign that, was it just to have the information given to us? Yes, that's what Mr. Knowles said to me. I waited to speak to Mr. Knowles for over 45 minutes, stood at the counter to be able to speak to him because he was busy on the phone with other people. He answered that one question. He said, get back with me and I'll tell you all the ins and outs about it. I apologize, Mr. Knowles. We had flu in the family. I never had the opportunity to get back. Then we have a public hearing as of the 21st. We never had the meeting of the information given to us. I personally feel that the cart was put before the horse with a guesstimate of how much it was going to be. I had people in my neighborhood that were told it was going to be $300. They were not told that the option was available if the township board agreed that it could go possibly for 5 years. That hadn't been determined yet, maybe loosely talked about, but not in a formal meeting. They were not told about interest. I have many people on my particular street, and the people I deal with on DeWitt and Jeanette, that are on fixed incomes. And when you say this is a fact it's going to be, when we really don't know how much it's going to be, because it has not been put out for bid, no bids have been put out or accepted, I think it's, again, the cart before the horse of a guesstimation. I personally do not like the aspect of it being given to us, and if I may come before you. I hope I am enough. Oh, if you guys could share. Share. And if you could share. That is figuratively a map of our area. The highlighted red areas are areas that have large frontages. I was told by Mr. Knowles that in Pacific, Ken Jensen's lot, Tori and John, George Long's lot, Debbie Allen's lot, all of the side lots, the side edges would not be put into the figure. But if you look at the frontages alone of the properties, I declare at this public meeting, I do not want to pay for the double lots, the unfair share of Trinity, and anybody else who has the larger lot in our grouping of the 46 to 47 homes. That's that. I have a letter with as best I could get out to people. The letter, or come to the meeting and stand and state their aspects. This is a woman who cannot be here tonight on the rolls. Oh, sorry. A letter of, she feels the same way as I do about the double frontages, the Trinity, etc. So, your letter that you sent out last time with the fact sheet, you sent out 2 pieces of paper and the fact sheet and informational sheet that graciously Mrs. Miller said, why couldn't we put a fact sheet out? Your fact sheet alone and the other piece of paper that was in the envelope that was sent out were contradictory. So I would hope that you would accept that even though she is not here. Because as Mr. Knowles just read earlier, we had to be here. And the contradictory of the paper said we could just have a writing and present it to you, and that would be satisfactory. So a contradiction right there.
Okay, on the fact sheet, it says that each parcel will pay 1 share or 1/46 of the total. No one's being charged for a double lot.
Your fact sheet, the contradiction, on the one that's titled PA 188 of 1954 proceedings, at the bottom, it says, "The owner or any person having an interest in the real property who protests in person or in writing at this hearing may file a written appeal of the assessment, special assessment with the state tax tribunal within 30 days after the confirmation of the special assessment rule." After the confirmation of the assessment rule, was that not at the meeting of the April 21st?
That was the first reading, I believe. Sure, can you answer that for me, please?
The assessment rule hasn't been set
We
yet.
haven't been, yeah, we haven't
assessment
did
roll.
that special assessment roll.
The
yet.
assessment rule has not been set yet.
Okay. On the fact sheet, it says, "Please note," this is what Mr. Knowles just said, "Please note that your appearance and protest at the hearing on the roll is required if you wish to appeal the amount of the special assessment to the state tribunal. Your name must appear on the minutes over there at the podium." Those were the 2 sheets sent out in one envelope to us, and it's a contradictory statement.
Okay, by submitting this written statement, her name will appear in the minutes of this meeting. In the interest of everyone who you're speaking for, I would ask that possibly you sign in on the sheet up there so that we know you were here and that Ms. Howard is speaking on your behalf, just to protect your interests.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
If I may, I think there should be a list specifically for those people who want to protest.
Okay. All right.
People can sign in on the list, and we don't know whether they're a part of the assessment
You're
or
right.
whether they're protesting or they're here to just find out.
Okay.
So I think there should be a separate list circulated for those
Agreed,
people
yes.
who are lodging a protest.
Okay. Recapping what I said earlier, one of my, I call them, they're very dear to me. And I call my people on DeWitt and Jeanette, my people. Many of them are elderly. They are single-family incomes, set, focused Medicare, et cetera, established incomes. They don't have the ability of pay raises, et cetera, et cetera. One of our persons was told that the whole thing was gonna be $300. She said, I'll go for that. She signed, okay? The Dawn's paper said $14,000 with an estimate of $2,900 and was told 4 to 5 years. It was my understanding that the board, again, said out of sequence, maybe talked amongst you, work study or something, hadn't presented it at a public hearing or at a public board meeting, that in fact, yes, we will go for a maximum of 5 years under the special assessment district. Nothing was said about interest. Then Mr. Jar even pointed out last meeting the fact, well, gee, quoting Mr. Jar, gee, I would like to borrow money for 1% also. So a figure hadn't even been established at how much of an interest. And my people were not told the fact about an interest. The fact sheet came out, small discrepancy of a little bit, $2,855, which is still an estimate that you're asking people to pay. And it would only cost $571 instead of the, Dawn had said $580. I was told out there was $572. The township gets a lot of bulk from anybody that does not know the history of whatever goes on in this township. Unfortunately, you as a board are getting the flack from board members way back when, and I apologize to you, for the Vistion situation. You're the ones that happen to be in office right now, and you're catching the fall of somebody else's goof way back when. When we, the group, were very opposed to the Tucker property, the situation that was family designation of that one piece of parcel up on the service drive. And we felt very fortunate that it was only given out to a C1, but even under the guise of the township, under your master plan from McKenna and Association, it was wanted to be a downtown authority area, and they had it on the map listed as a C2. So we felt that we were lied to. I talked to people way back when, and we could not find anywhere how the one property, which was initially family C1, became C2. We don't know how the other parcel got C2. So when we feel as a community that we've been lied to on that issue too, it's very unfortunate when we have this aspect coming up. I've already stated the fact that I waited for Mr. Knowles that day to find out about it. I came to the last meeting. I wanted to know about ambulances because I wanted to get, if they shut down roads, how are my people going to get ambulances? I wouldn't want somebody having to be chucked down on a stretcher from Dimitri's parking lot, that they may put an ambulance there, and if the road's tied up, all the way down to, let's say, Mr. Nugent on DeWitt, or even from the service drive to his home on DeWitt. I was told that the road would only be done half at a time. Speaking to engineers on Wayne County, that in fact is not true, that it will only be done half a road at a time, that we'll always have access to our aprons and our driveways. There will be a time, it might only be an afternoon, it might be a day, it might be up to 3 days, when they asphalt for the integrity of the road, that it would be shut down. The majority of the work, it would be half and half. So I didn't appreciate somebody saying it'll never be shut down, it'll be half done at a time. And for the fire, police, trash pickup, we can ride for a couple days. We could maybe even ride unless our mail has to be delivered for a paycheck or something and got to the bank. We could wait a couple days. The school bus kids picked up, that's gonna be a touchy situation of anybody who has children, and I feel sorry for anybody that would maybe have to go out up to the service drive. But if we're told the truth, and we can accommodate it in our schedule and say, Mrs. Severs, remember, in 2 days, you can park your car in my driveway, so you can get in and out, so that you're protected if you need to get out of your home. Any of the other residents, but when they were told it was never gonna be shut down, that is a fallacy. Basically, my first issue is what I showed you on that diagram of their area, is that I want the fair share. I don't appreciate having to pay for all areas that, if I have a 90-foot frontage, I don't want to pay for Trinity's and all the other lots that are shown on your page as such, and the one with the red lines. I think it's very poor and not a fair share. I would like to be linear footage, and if it's going to be easier to just do a parcel, 46 into the price, minus the 80%, and then take our 20% and parcel it out by 46. I think that's a great injustice to our treasurer's department or anybody else that would be the mathematician that would be handling it on our township that couldn't figure it out by linear footage. I believe it would be a little bit more difficult, but I think it could be handled. Permits. On Dawn's letter, it states the fact that our engineer would be overseeing this. I asked my question to the engineer, do you have a degree in roads and asphalt paving and concrete laying and shoulders, et cetera, et cetera? Is that your degree of engineering, or are you a general engineer for our township?
Ma'am, address the board, not the audience.
Oh, okay. I say it again? Want it said again?
If you want to go through the chair and ask that question,
Okay. Madam Chair,
yes.
okay. What qualifications does our engineer have over a road?
Years of experience, that's what his business does. They
But is he not a general engineer for many aspects within the township? But his sole degree, engineering degree, is in causeways and roadways and asphalt pouring and et cetera, right?
I'm sure that his degree encompasses a number of things, one of which is designing roads.
Okay. Is the job gonna have a permit pulled?
Is it going to have what?
A permit pulled?
I'm not sure how the permit situation works between Wayne County doing something, but my engineer is shaking his head yes, so it will be permitted.
So I'm gonna turn around and shake your head again, T, please. Okay. You, putting out the bid, would have a permit pulled. Okay. Because a permit would be pulled, I feel it's very important, because many people, if something happens to our road, 1 year after, 5 years after, and God forbid the assessments aren't even paid off and our roads would be in a bad shape again. I feel that if we didn't have a permit pulled, which I did find out that it could be waived, and if it's waived, in fact, there's no guidelines over except the standards of what a road is to be, but actually being inspected, et cetera, if the permit was waived, there would be no inspection aspects. My fear, if the permit is not pulled, and I hope it will always be pulled, that it will be Wayne County coming out and doing the inspections. I do not want you people, or the next board, or the next board for how many rollovers of board members, to have to say, well, you voted my road in, and it's crumbling and falling apart, when in reality, the person we should go after is Wayne County, and we would have more grounds if you don't allow it to be waived, that we could go and say, Wayne County, you approved it. And so your inspectors not inspect. I just found out today that I've been told for years the fact of our road, Jeanette in particular, was resurfaced at one time, and it was beefed up for the fact of when they lowered the expressway and they directed traffic down our street. And Jeanette and DeWitt, and only that little nook of DeWitt was extra paved too, so they could come down Jeanette and go out to the service drive on DeWitt. I was told by a resident that had been there long enough finally, because unfortunately many of our other residents have passed on that could have told me this information sooner, that they did not beef up the bed of the road. They only resurfaced it for more inches to make it the stability it has now, that the traffic could go by and it would maintain it. Underneath the Dawn's letter, it says the plan to the engineer would be to grind up our existing roads and use it as a foundation. That upset me because I had been told through the years that the base of our road was beefed up, which in fact it was not. It was only beefed up by extra layers or height, or I don't know what the terminology would be. More asphalt was put down to make it a stronger road. So the aspect of tearing up the road now, as of today, just finding out that we would be getting still a lesser of a road than we have now, because we have at the present time more asphalt than would be put on in the future for the new road if they did grind up Jeanette. I was told by the engineer of Wayne County that in address for the fact sheet that our roads would be reditched very lightly if we go with Wayne County. Wayne County has to take care of the pitch of the drainage ditch to alleviate the surface runoff to the main storm drains, which in our subdivision, it's not a subdivision, meets and bounds, is incorrect. We have standing water. We have water that, roads that are covered by 3 feet of grass. And the dream of mine to have my culvert was shot to fruition because of the fact that the water must go somewhere and not pocket on the road, which it does presently on some of the road areas, as Jeanette up by Dimitri's and all over on Venetian, that the road will continually erode if the ditching and the shoulder is not taken care of properly, because it'll just go to the same thing it's doing now. Just the top surface of the water will retain water, it'll freeze, and it'll buckle up our roads. So in a very short time sequence, we could be back in the same situation. The road for reditching will have to be addressed all up and down our road. We have a 60-foot roadway presently. The easement for the ditches and/or shoulder would be approximately 38 feet, because 22 feet would be taken up by the actual asphalt surface of the road. Nobody could tell me if we were going to have a shoulder of 1 inch or 2 inches. I don't believe anybody in that area that we're living realizes that there is underneath, deep enough, not gravel, it's a cinder or something, it's a smaller aggregate, to hold the asphalt. There is some form of a shoulder outside of our asphalt on both roads right now. And all I know is when I moved in, I took the grass back because it was going like this and then this and this all over the road. And I got on my hands and knees and pulled it out up until the asphalt edge. I didn't know I had to go further into the easement to find out where the gravel was.
Okay, Ms. Howard, can I interrupt just briefly? According to the engineer's quote to us, it says the proposed project includes reconstruction of the roadway surface and supporting aggregate base. The roadway section will be reconstructed in accordance with Wayne County standards.
Okay.
A pavement section will consist of 8 inches of new aggregate base, 3 inches of HMA base, I'm not sure what that is, and 1.5 inches of HMA top. It will be confirmed by the Wayne County engineering staff during the project design. So everything that they do will be up to Wayne County standards, and they are reconstructing these roads.
Okay, you are just telling me presently, tonight, information that we were told we were gonna be given at a meeting if we signed that piece of paper. And it wasn't. That piece of paper went directly to being specially assessed, and we're sitting out there, wait a minute.
Okay.
That's the point. We were misled and putting the cart before the horse. Okay,
I can't speak to what a volunteer told you at the time that you signed the paper, but what I have in front of me is the actual work that will be done on that. I apologize that a meeting was never held. I wasn't aware that a meeting was supposed to be held. As I said, it was a volunteer that took the petitions around and went to a whole lot of work to get, the petition circulated. I can't speak to what was and wasn't said at the time.
well, I know what I was told, I should say, and I know what Mr. Knowles said to me, that we would have a meeting to ask about the ambulance, how much are you gonna do, what are you gonna, all of our questions that we would have had, we were never given that opportunity. I asked tonight, if the roads are done and you have a house that if you look on our street, many houses have per se a concrete driveway, and then they have a little strip that is over the easement that is asphalt. Madam Chair, direct to our engineer, please. What is going to happen to that section of a person's driveway? Are we going to have to redo that? Because I only saw one house that had concrete all the way up to the edge of the roadway.
I believe I read in here that the driveways, give me just a minute.
Could I ask the engineer
Dave,
to
could
come
you
up and show
answer that
me?
question for her, please, about the driveways? It'll take me a minute to find it, and you probably know off the top of your head.
This is our road, okay?
I can answer the question.
There's concrete sometimes or asphalt. My asphalt goes right up to the road. Many of our homes in the area have, one has concrete all the way up to there, which they are not allowed to have a permanent aspect, so it could be broken up. This section that's the asphalt, what is it going to happen? Is it going to be replaced?
Madam Chair, members of the board, when we do the road reconstruction, we're going to have to actually widen the road slightly because the Wayne County minimum cross-section requires 22 feet, and the road that's there now varies from 18 to 20, 21 feet, something like that. So there'll be a slight widening, so we will be getting into those driveway approaches on the sides. The plan is to take the pavement off of those as far back as we need to in order to blend the driveways in. If you have asphalt, we'll be replacing with asphalt. If you have concrete, we'll be replacing with concrete.
Okay.
Thank you.
Another question that would have been addressed at the meeting. Anybody else who wishes to come up here and state any aspects of what they feel, because everybody has a different desire? One last thing to point out, the Township of Van Buren put out a landscaping near the water's edge and a protecting the water quality. The surface runoff, the drainage, all of this has to be addressed with the proper drainage, all the way down the way, put out by even the township. And the engineering staff at Wayne County stated the fact that it will be properly regraded, the ditches. All the ditches will be cleared out. People have filled in their ditches through years. They do not realize the potential of what they are doing to the road in front of their house. The ditches are there for a reason, and I say again, I had to give up my dream of having the culverts, and so I wouldn't have that catastrophe of cutting this big valley that I have in my area. Of the shake ahead of any of my people, have I addressed all your questions? Before the onslaught of the other people want to come up here?
Yeah.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Right up in
Clerk
there.
Wright.
Raise your hand, please.
Yeah.
Okay, 3, 4, 5.
This-
6. Oh, yeah. That, she's not representing all of us. No.
No, you are,
Through the chair.
Okay, folks,
They've got
excuse me. You will have a chance for everyone that wants to speak, may speak. Were you finished, Ms. Howard?
I stand on the fair share plan of the linear footage, and I stand greatly appalled that I'm going to be paying for Trinity's large footage and all the lots that have got double lots and large lots in my area. If I've got a 90-foot frontage, I would like my people to get the fair share of a 90-foot frontage and not being picking up the share of Trinity's and all the others. And my request to this board is that you will readdress the way that we're going to be financed. And you have already said the side lots would not be taxed. The sides of the property, that I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would really, really sincere that you would take heart.
Thank you very much, and I would hear from some other residents at this time.
Hello, Bart. I'm Ken Jensen. I live in the same division that Kathy's talking about. What we have, I want to get the roads fixed. That's all there is to it. It may cost us a little money, and I think everyone uses the roads the same amount of time, no matter who owns how much share of it. You travel on the same amount of road, no matter what. You have a smaller lot, you're paying smaller taxes. So, but you use that road every day in and out, the same amount that anyone else, if they got a little larger lot or they got a smaller lot. My wife worked 25 years. I've lived in that house where I live. It's right on the corner of DeWitt and Venetian. My wife tried to get the road repaved twice in 25 years. This is the third go-around. The last time I remember about 15 years ago, or maybe 12. Huh? 12. I think the assessment for doing the road was about $7,000 for each homeowner. Wasn't it? $7,000. Now, I think what we're talking, 3,000 or a little under 3,000, is more than half of what we were assessed 12 years ago that it was gonna cost us. And I can't see any reason anybody's gonna hurt in this day of economy, and Wayne County's putting money out there. This is a one-shot deal. This is a one-shot deal. We aren't gonna have a second time. We gotta have this done, don't we, by September or something?
Yeah, there are time constraints on it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just can't, I can't understand. I know money's valuable to all of us. I'm retired. I live in a house myself, but we all have to make some concessions, and we have to either make a road. I'm tired of living on the road as it is. It's wrecking our cars.
Sure, I agree with you. I
There's
drove
no
down your
sense.
road when this all first started.
Yeah,
I know
there's
how
no
bad it is.
sense. I can't see, even if we had to pay $10,000. In this environment today, that's what it would be. Here we're talking less than 3,000.
Right.
And I think that's the big issue. No matter how big or small our lots are, everybody uses them same roads. And they're wearing and tearing them. And I think we should go with what you got planned, or what's been talked about. And I don't know. I think there's other folks that are on that side of the fence too.
Thank you.
And I think right at this moment, Kathy did not speak for all of us.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Gary Furr. I live on Venetia and part of the assessment district. I am the person that went up and down Jeanette and part of DeWitt and part of Venetian to talk to my neighbors to sign. And I want to first say that there was no deliberate misconception of misinformation. It was new to all of us. And the details that Kathy is referring to, nobody knew what the answers to those were, what the exact amount was going to be. I mean, Ken is absolutely right. We need the roads. Anybody that's driven down Venetian or DeWitt, or Jeanette's not quite as bad, but it will be in the years to come. We need the roads, and I want to personally thank Jack and his group for the opportunity for us to use 85%, whatever the
80%.
percentage is, from Wayne County. It's an incredible opportunity. For like 12 years ago, it was $7,000, and we're getting it for less than $3,000. I want to speak for the majority of the people that want these roads. And the little bitty details, I trust our engineer. I am glad Van Buren Township engineer is overseeing the project, because all you got to do is read the Detroit News or the Free Press to see what Wayne County does and how long their roads last. We can at least have somebody on site every day overseeing the constructions according to the specifications of Wayne County, that the road will be done right. So I want to emphasize, in Dawn's letter that we sent out, and I did give you a copy of that the day that you went around helping me talk to various neighbors. You had a copy of it that day. Everything in there was factual as to what we knew at that time. And the meeting that I referred to and told everybody are these meetings that we're doing right now. Did you not get an answer to the questions? Some of the questions? We're getting answers to that. That's the whole purpose of the meeting 2 weeks ago. That's the purpose of the meeting tonight,
Yes.
is to have these issues answered, questions raised of all the things that I couldn't answer exactly how things were going to be done, because I'm not the engineer in charge. Dawn and I, our sole purpose of coming out and talking and meeting our neighbors was we need new roads. It's that simple, and we have an opportunity, a tremendous opportunity that I don't know if it's ever been done before, where Wayne County has sent out money to various townships, you know, to have roads redone. And I hope all of you have driven down Venetian. I mean, that should answer any question that you have about this whole process.
Thank you. When Dawn first called me about this project, I drove down Venetian, DeWitt, and Jeanette. And I
Right.
know that the need is there, sir.
Yeah, the need is absolutely there.
Absolutely.
And Jeanette is, they're getting in on this opportunity when their road is not quite as bad as DeWitt and Venetian, but they will be there shortly. So I strongly encourage them to take advantage of this opportunity too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for the time.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name's Todd Austin and I live on DeWitt. I'm relatively new to Michigan. I just relocated from the East Coast here, so I think a lot of this was, a lot of different information was given out to people at different times. This is an ongoing saga with this road system. It's been tried for a number of years to be fixed. Everybody talks about cars and stuff. It's a safety hazard. I go across the street to my mailbox and I snap my ankle because there's a 6-foot ditch and because the town or the county only coal patch. They coal patch this year. It was pouring cats and dogs when they coal patch. I'd like to see where the actual road is and not just drive on coal patch from the last 15 years. My suggestion, a lot of people have issues with the money. Money is tight now. Everybody is tight. We have individual lots that have been put up there. 49, I believe, is the number for there.
7.
Okay. Average lot size. How hard would it be to come up with an average lot size? I've heard the term frontage. People on the corners would not get the fair end of the stick if it was done with frontage because they have frontage on 2 streets. They come up with an average lot size and figure it out based on that. That could be a resolution to the fairness of it because you got the church. The church is 3, maybe 4 houses. There are some double lots. Tucker's Place could be a couple lots. I was told by the Wayne County Commissioner who showed up at my house at 5 o'clock when I first moved here, and my wife complained about the roads. He came to my house looking for a vote. He told us that the only way we were going to get our roads done is if we paid for it because it added to the value of our house. Well, if someone has a house that's worth $400,000 in my area and someone who has a house that's worth $150,000. If they improved that road, their house value, by his words, was going to go up the value of the house. So wouldn't it make sense that the average lot size would determine how much is fed into this by the individual to pay for it? Because if my lot size is the size of 3 houses, and this is done, should not my value increase by that size? While someone who has a smaller lot size would be the same. So instead of breaking it into one individual lot per house, come up, or do frontage, which isn't fair to the people on corners, come up with an average lot size and base the amount of money that each homeowner pays on the average lot size. I know there's a time constraint. There's been a lot of Chicken Little going on with this. We need to do this right now. We need to do this right now. I don't know how much I'm going to get charged. Am I going to get charged? Can you tell me how much I'm going to get charged for my one lot at this point? Could I be looking at $1,500? Can you tell me it's no more than $2,500? Or could it turn into $5,000? They start digging up the road. Where's it going to go? Who knows what problems they're going to find? I just spent money to have my plumbing redone because my sewer lines were clogged up with tree roots. You never know what they're going to find when they start digging this. So to have a number that we know before we start that this can't go crazy is, I think, a big problem that a lot of people have. We don't know where this is going to cost us. I've asked numerous people in this, how much is it? How much are you going to charge me? You tell me you have to do it by August. How much is it going to cost me? No one can give me the definitive answer.
No one can give you an exact figure right now, but the estimate is 2,800, 2,855.
Okay, so where is the cap on that? What if there's an issue? What if that 20, that's an estimate. Estimates, I've given estimates for my work. I've had estimates that I've started off low and it's tripled by the time it's over with. Yes, you have people on fixed incomes. Yes, there is a concern there. But personally, I approve this. That road needs to be fixed. It's a safety hazard. My mother-in-law, I moved here for a sick mother-in-law who I tried to rehab, who was supposed to walk when she rehabbed. She couldn't walk because that street is a disaster, okay? I came from the area of Boston. I have never seen roads in more despicable shape. And this is the Motor City. Okay?
I think most Michiganians can agree with that.
But I'm just saying, there has been a lot of information. When I first moved here, I lived out in Sumter County on Arcona. Dirt roads are in better shape out there than our paved roads in this town, some of them. But I got told that can't happen because of everything. I just think people need a little bit more information as far as exactly where this is, money-wise, and quality, and time frame. This is not the first go-round with road crews doing things. The roads aren't gonna be cut down for weeks at a time like it's kind of put out there. They do halves and halves. I've never seen someone not be able to leave a house. But I think we need a little bit more information as far as exactly how much is this gonna cost and how it's gonna be broken up. That's all.
Okay, Dave, or Jack, could you address his concerns there? The estimate, and I can't see anyone not being able to get to their house. That just wouldn't happen in my mind.
Dave can address that better than I can. I mean, in terms of the estimated cost per lot, it's currently $28.54. We won't know exactly what that is until we bid the project. In order to bid the project, we have to do the plans. In order to do the plans, we have to approve the resolutions this evening, so we can get Mr. Newmer started on that process.
Thank you. Dave?
I took some notes here. I'm not sure if I got all the questions, but I'll try to address what I can, and something I miss, let me know. As Mr. Knoll stated, with the exact cost of the project, since we haven't done the engineering yet, we haven't gotten the bids, we don't know exactly what it's gonna be. We've used it's our best estimate that we can give them based on the experience that we have in Wayne County and the roads that we've done recently. As to what that cost is gonna be, we have included some contingency in there to try to account for unforeseen circumstances, because as soon as you open up a road, you're gonna find something you didn't expect. So we've tried to build those safeguards into the estimate so we don't have any nasty surprises. Sometimes you get a surprise, but we tried our best to protect against that. We talked about how the driveways interface with the road already, and we'll be patching back those driveways. There was a comment about drainage. The township did go through under a FEMA hazard mitigation grant in the early 2000s, 2003, 4-ish timeframe, and redo a bunch of the ditching and culverts in that area. Most of those ditches are in fairly good shape right now. We will be doing some cleanup and some minor fixing to them. I am aware that there's one or two locations where the residents have culverted across the entire frontage of the lot, and that's gonna be up to Wayne County to determine how they wanna address that, if they want that taken out, or if they're gonna allow that to stay. That'll be a Wayne County decision. There was a question about whether or not the road section on Jeanette has been beefed up or has been improved. I've heard the same tale that it was used as a bypass route when they were working on the highway. Once we get into the project, we're gonna actually obtain some soil borings and some cores in that area, and we'll know exactly what we're working with. So we're gonna go in and actually core the road and determine how much asphalt, how much stone we have in each different location. There was a question about permits being required. Absolutely, the township will be getting permits through Wayne County. It's part of your agreement with the county that you're gonna be asked to look at later this evening, that permits are required. And that was a requirement of the program when it first came out. That was very clear that the county's gonna be requiring permits. I believe the confusion with the permits possibly being waived is that the permit fees will be waived, since it doesn't really make sense for Wayne County to charge another municipality a fee to get a permit, but we will be getting a permit, and we will be getting approval through Wayne County Permits Office. Inspection. This is a Wayne County road. Wayne County inspectors will be available. If the, we haven't discussed that with Wayne County yet, how they're gonna handle the inspection, if they're gonna do it completely themselves, or if they're gonna ask the township to provide inspection through your engineers. We would be happy to be on site to protect the interests of the township during that process. As far as how the actual construction is going to be done and access for emergency vehicles, ambulances, fire, police, those types of things. Typically, we do try to do the road half at a time or a section at a time. And what I mean by that is the contractor won't have the entire, they won't be working on the entire roadway system all at one time. They'll be working in one area. They may come through, grind the pavement up, lay it back down as gravel, as a gravel surface, and then come back and do their excavations and install the gravel shoulders and whatnot. So they'll be working on it in phases as it goes along. The construction company that actually gets selected to do the project will be the one who determines the means and methods of how the project is actually scheduled and phased. And those will be discussed and approved by Wayne County and/or our inspectors if we're on site. So we'll be taking care of that. As far as people being able to get access into their homes, as I said, the construction process is kind of a linear process, and it moves. They move in sections down the road, so you can kind of see them coming. So you can see, 3 days ago they were 300 feet away. Now they're 200 feet away. Now they're 100 feet away. They're coming my way next. And the inspectors and the crews are pretty good at letting people know, hey, we're going to be working in this area in the next couple of days. If you want to move your cars up a couple of driveways or park your car somewhere else, you can get access to them. There will be times when they're working directly in front of a driveway, when we're excavating an area, when we're backfilling with gravel, that the driveways won't be accessible for periods of time. But that periods of time is on the order of hours or half a day maybe, as opposed to full days or multiple days. I think that's all the questions I had jotted down. If there's anything else I missed.
I think you got them all.
Okay.
Yes.
I could ask, this gentleman had a question on the interest rate. Could Director Knowles comment on that so he has a response?
The interest rate it's actually unknown, but what it's in the resolution is 1% over the rate that the funds, the landfill funds are getting at the time the loan is made. So if we're getting 2.5% on the landfill funds, then the interest rate would be 3.5. If we're getting 1.5, it's going to be 2.5. I don't know what it is until it won't be established until the time that the loan is made. And that's a guideline through MTA.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's say my fair share is going to be a figuratively speaking aspect of $3,000. The fact sheet said $2,855. Mr. Knowles just got up here and said $2,854. It was just $1, but the point is, everybody's saying something different, that we've been misled on certain situations. Okay, if you have, let's say $3,000 is going to be addressed to my property. And Mr. Knowles had said that, like the gentleman said, there are sometimes issues, and they have to be addressed. And under the guise of something he said, that it can be automatically assessed to us at 10% more. So therefore, I paid $3,000, and there was a snafu on the road construction, and we were given 10% more, so it was $3,300. Okay, let's say it's a lot larger snafu, and it goes over the 10%. We were told then it was going to be a public meeting. And at that public meeting, if we said, basically, hell no, we're not going to pay any more, what happens to the rest of our job? Or who picks up that tab of the overage more if it was more than a 10%? Which the gentleman was saying the fact about being a cap. Who picks up that tab if we, in the future, say no more?
Jack, can you answer that for him? Or Dave can? Thank you.
All right, I think that maybe there's a little bit of confusion on when I said 10% contingency, maybe I wasn't clear, so I'll try and explain it again, maybe a second time I can do a better job. What I meant when I said there's a 10% contingency is that we've estimated what we think the cost of the project is now. And then we took that cost and we increased it by 10%, and then we added in the engineering and whatnot, and that number, which includes the 10% contingency, is the assessment number that we're talking about this evening, the $2,854, $55. So the estimate that we've given the residents already includes that 10% contingency, in case we have some issues come up during construction that we have to deal with. Procedurally and contractually, how this will work is, when the township gets the engineering done, we go out, we procure bids, the township board will actually be awarding the contract to the contractor. So there will be a relationship between yourselves and the contractor. Typically on township projects, what we recommend and what the board has done in the past is that we recommend that the township board authorize a 10% contingency amount that can be used at the discretion of the public works director, for example, or the staff member who's in charge of the project at the time, who's overseeing the work. So that we can keep the construction process moving ahead without delays and having to come back and get approvals for any costs within that 10% amount. Were there to be any costs that would be over that 10% amount, we would then have to come back to the township board and say, you gave us a contract for this much, you gave us a contingency of this much. At this point, we need to exceed that for whatever reasons they are. We would explain those. And the township board would either say, yes, you can go ahead and do that, or no, that you can't. And that would be a decision that would be made by the board. Ultimately, whatever costs are included in the project and are approved by the township board through the contract are the costs that would be assessed back to the residents. So were there to, something catastrophic, if we go out and we start the construction and we realize that we dig down 2 feet and we find peat moss and bog and mud and muck and horrible soil conditions, and we have to dig down another 7 feet and fill it all up with gravel. Something like that happened that would significantly affect the cost of the project. At that time, we would come back to the township board and say, look, you know, this is what we thought was going to happen. Our soil warnings indicated this. Our engineering indicated this. The facts of the matter are different. Here are the facts. Here's what it's going to cost. You know, we would come back with a recommendation and then ask you if you wanted to proceed with that. So if something catastrophic like that happened, we would be bringing that back to the board. So hopefully I've addressed that question. I thought of one other one too when I sat down. HMA, I'm sorry, that's an acronym that we use constantly, and I don't even think about it because I use it so often. Hot mix asphalt, that's the asphalt that we put down on the road.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know what HMA was. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a quick question, what he just said, suppose he comes back to us, well, hey, we've used up the money we assessed, we've used up 10% that you've put aside for emergencies, and it goes way above that. You're gonna call a meeting so we can come here and say, hey, yes or no, what's going on? They agreed to this, so they absorb the cost. Or we agree to say, yeah, go ahead and let them do it and we'll pay more. You're gonna call a meeting so we can say that?
At that point, before the assessment is raised, absolutely, there would be another meeting.
So we can come here and say yes or no, or
Yes.
give our arguments for yea or nay or whatever. Okay,
Yes.
so I want to know, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello again, my name is Dawn Atkins, and thank you for having us once again. And I just want to thank Mr. Knowles too and the engineer for all the work that you've done. First of all, my letter. I'd be happy to give any of you a copy. It was definitely misrepresented a couple of times. $300 was never spoke about in that letter. I did say somewhere close to $600 a year, which, let's just break it down, is only $50 a month for a new road over the next 5 years, which I think is a steal of a deal. I think I represent a big amount of people in our neighborhood when I say that. Many of us have been waiting years for a road. I've lived there for 17 years. When I walked around getting the petition, it was really fun, actually, because I got to meet a lot of the neighbors, long-term residents, who were in favor of the road. I did not lie to them or tell them stories. I shared the same information that Mr. Knowles gave to me. That's all. I just wanted to let you know that we are still in favor. I know some people are going to have issues, and I know everybody's on tight budgets. I get that. But I think overall, it's a good opportunity, even if, we do go over budget. 12 years ago, it was $7,000. Let's just keep that in mind. And we're at half of that. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Dawn for going out and volunteering and going door to door. That's never easy, so thank you.
Does anyone else have a comment or a question that they would like an answer to? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Athena Demas, and I live on DeWitt Road. I'm kind of curious about the opposite. What if we don't have something catastrophic? Can we get the 10% back?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Well, we won't get it back, but the county will just not spend it.
okay, all right. And also the quality of the asphalt, is it going to support
Right.
the traffic that we're getting, especially with the school buses and the heavier types of machinery that comes through, like lawn services, and they're pulling their equipment and everything? That's tearing up the road, not the cars. So I was just
Right.
kind of curious about that.
All right, thank you.
I just have,
Clerk Wright.
well, you can go ahead, I ask my question after you.
I'm just curious, why wouldn't we get it back? I mean, if I give you $25,000 to build something, it only costs 15.
Your assessment's going to be a percentage of whatever it costs anyway, so yes, you would get it back, absolutely.
Oh, okay, well, so now
Now
it's
that
more.
and he just put a bug in my ear too, and he said, no, that's not right, and I stand corrected.
You can sit corrected too. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Through the chair.
Yes.
My only question, I just would like to know, just for clarification, so I can have a clear conscience. How many residents are we speaking of on the 3 streets? 46. And for the 46, how many are represented here tonight as opposition to this? Just by show of hands.
No.
No, how many here?
No.
So-
Wait.
I'm only speaking one per household, that's all we can count as one per household. How many per household is in opposition?
It's not so much being in opposition. Everyone here wants the roads done.
Okay,
We all want it done. That's not the problem. The problem is how they're being assessed. Some people are being, well, there are people here tonight that feel either the assessment's unfair. Because some places are just paying the one, but yet they've got a double lot, or like Trinity. I keep using Trinity Church, but it's just a good example.
right.
Right. So by linear footage, that would be a better assessment.
I know what you,
More fair. I mean, I'm all for the roads getting
Right.
done.
Okay.
But it's just how it's being presented and how we're being charged for those roads is that I'm against.
okay.
That's
So you're
all.
protesting the road, that's it.
Yeah.
So through the chair, if I could just make a statement, just to make anyone that, any clarification, make it a little uneasy. I spoke the last time about a homeowner association. I know Harmony Lane, I know you guys don't have a homeowner association, but a lot of the other subdivisions do have homeowners association. And just so you know, the way homeowners association, the way is to order business is transacted. If we were to do something, if we was doing the same, which I wish we could, getting 80% of our road repair, getting 80% of the cost of road repair, we wouldn't do an assessment based on linear footage. We would just do every homeowner's 217 homes in my subdivision would be assessed equally to 20%, because it's almost impossible. It's not to go out and do a linear footage. That's the way we assess. We do assessments. We don't. Unfortunately, we had to pay the total amount every time we repair a road. But we do. Each homeowner, no matter whether you have a 2,700 square foot home or a 1,600 square foot home, each homeowner has equal share of the roads. And I do agree. Everyone use the roads. Everyone has to go out. Everybody has to come in. It's not based on your linear footage of your home. It's based on how frequently you go out and in and out of your house. So if you drive out of your house 2 times a day, 3 times a week, you're still using the roads the same amount as anyone else. So that is a fair assessment of. So just to give you that clarification, everyone I know, every homeowner association I know, that's the way they assess the values based on homes, equal share per home.
Speaking of squeaky wheels, get the oil. Kathy Jensen, who has now passed and is sitting with our Lord, got something on her corner, which is Ken Jensen's corner, that was very dangerous for the grading. And she fought hard and long, and she got some form of a culvert on her corner. Because when the school bus would come around that corner and there was any bit of ice at all, it would be in the ditch. Presently, the Allens live on DeWitt and Jeanette Corner, and they have a ditch, Mr. Engineer, if you'd go out and look at it, please, to work with Wayne County to address that situation. I do not even know how they cut the lawn. I mean, do they send the lawnmower down the valley by rope or something? Because they have a ditch that used to be like Kathy and Ken Jensen's corner ditch in the front of their home. It's disastrous. And that's why the issue of the ditching and the proper drainage is going to have to be addressed. And for the safety of our children and the school buses, I would like it be known through the engineer, Madam Chair, that it really looked into. I mean, we have people that have filled in their ditches with leaves, debris. You can't see the tops of the culverts anymore for underneath their driveways because it's been filled in through the years and just general soil building through the years. And then you have Ron and Debbie's ditch to China practically. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like it used to be in front of Kathy. I don't think it was Kathy Jensen's and Ken Jensen's was that difficult. But I did work with Kathy for many years on trying to, and I was on Jeanette then, to help her with DeWitt and Venetian for getting the situation of the roads. Mr. Wright, I have a question to you. Do you live in Walden Woods?
No, I live in Andover Farms.
Okay. Does anybody in our community, or of the, not community, I stand corrected, the board live in Walden Woods? No? No planning commission, no anybody else lives in Walden Woods? Okay. I spoke to some of the people from Walden Woods that were on the board, and they said they have been paying their own funds out of their association all along and putting forth funds through their homeowners association, and they've been taking section by section through Walden Woods. Okay, I was told that they're paying their 20% straight up, and they're already gonna be done the special assessment, or I think they're gonna pay it up front, so there'll be no special assessment, et cetera.
Right.
The amount that Wayne County offered us, with the option of, if you get your people to come up with 20%, we're gonna give you 80%. How many jobs could the township have awarded the money, the funds for the 80-20 ratio, could you have given out to the community?
That's subjective because it would depend on what the project was and how involved it was.
Okay, so, in other words,
Jobs such as yours won.
okay, the Van Buren Estates, figuratively speaking, they call it Haggerty Sub, but it's Van Buren Estates on the plant map. When they had their surface drains sink to the point of 3 to 4 feet down from sinkholes and break the concrete and break down, if they had come to you as a board and said, hey, we need help, they could have been given funds for an 80-20 ratio?
No, this is a one-time thing.
And it was up to the
This was
board?
awarded by the county last year for use. Each community was awarded so much money. Our share was $750,000, and we had to find a project that fit that. And it's,
That'd be county roads.
that were county roads.
Okay, so it could have been Van Buren Estates, Haggerty Sub, and it could have been our area. Or it could have not been our area, it could have been Van Buren Estates, Haggerty Sub, and Walden Woods.
Possibly, yeah.
Okay, so you figuratively speaking said it's only gonna be, how would I say? I don't know how many homes are in Andover Farms for their 80%?
It was first come, first served, and Miss Atkins called and told me about having called the county about the roads, and they directed her to call us to see if we could use part of that road initiative funds to do those roads. And I drove down the road and said, oh my gosh, I'm glad I don't live on this street, my dirt road's bad enough. And then we got Mr. Knowles and Mr. Newmer involved, and they looked at the project and said, yes, that would qualify, and that's the reason that they were chosen. There was no special anything, it was just the need was there, and they came to us first.
Okay, that's the bottom line, first come, first serve.
Yes.
Okay, so the other areas could have broached
Sure.
the subject with you and been
The
granted
county made
these
it well
funds.
known that they were giving money for roads,
Okay.
to
Okay.
work on county roads.
Thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
these questions were supposed to have been answered and asked way back when.
This
They are
is your
now
public
finally,
hearing,
thank
this is your time.
Thank
I
you.
think this, yeah, this is the question. This is the meeting that you keep alluding to. It's a public hearing. Right.
Yes.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
I'm a little bit concerned that we don't want to mislead anybody in the audience. The fact sheet that was put out says, please note your appearance and protest at this hearing. Your appearance and protest at this hearing on the roll is required if you wish to appeal the amount of the special assessment to the state tax tribunal. Your name must appear in the minutes of this hearing. I'm hearing a lot of people are commenting. Everybody says we want the roads, or most of you say you want the roads, but this is a public hearing on setting the roll. And if you want to preserve your right to appeal if we fix the roll, you have to make your protest known at this meeting. And I defer, Mr. Knowles sent the fact sheet out, you could explain that. I just don't know the mechanism, Madam Supervisor. Signing in on the podium doesn't
No,
really
you're right.
tell whether they're protesting or not. So I think we have to have some mechanism for the people who are here who want to protest to make that protest known in order to preserve your rights. I don't want you to think that just by coming to this meeting, that's enough.
That is correct. If someone is going to formally protest the special assessment, then they need to appear at the podium, they need to state their name, they need to state their address. If they've written a letter, that needs to be written into the record.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Madam Supervisor, can I ask Jack?
Yes.
I didn't say my name, I'm Douglas Wells, on Jeanette, 45131.
Are you protesting the roll?
No, not the roads, the way it's being assessed.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Madam Supervisor.
that's all right. Director Knowles, Treasurer Bud has a question for you.
Jack, you said that if they wanted to protest it, they had to come up, give their name, sign, whatever. What is the percentage of protest that would change the results as we move through the items on this agenda?
Standing here, I really don't know.
Okay,
We were right around 72% on the petitions.
okay.
So it would depend on what the percentage is. I don't know offhand. It's 46 lots, so we'd have to figure it out. I can't do it in my head right here.
And Director knows,
Yeah.
percentage is based on linear footage. And
Yes.
so I think
Correct.
that it's not fair to try to come up with an answer right
Right.
now, but that's
I
why I
can't.
think that anyone that wants to protest the roll should log in, and then Director
Right.
Knowles can look at that.
That doesn't
and
mean,
determine
that
what
doesn't
is
mean
it-
they have to take it to the state tax tribunal. That just gives them the right to do so.
Right.
And
But
and
they
if
have
they
to
don't,
protest
then
the
they don't
law.
have the
Right.
right.
Jack, does that include Trinity Church?
You'd ask that through the chair, please.
I'm sorry.
Trinity Church, does that 72% include Trinity Church? Because I know they're on board as well.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
So you said, through the chair, I'm sorry. So you said it's 46 homes,
46
Parcels.
parcels.
46 parcels. You said you got roughly 72%.
Right. The
Which is,
Trustee
if
Jar-
I'm reading right, that's 33
Right, but
parcels.
Trustee Jar was correct in his statement that the percentage of the percentage of the assessment for the purposes of, how would I say this, of the percentage of this is based on the lineal footage. So the church has a large lineal footage. So that's what the 72% was based on, is the lineal footage, the front lineal footage of the separate parcels. If that makes sense. Gets confusing.
Madam Supervisor, we asked Mr. Knowles that if we were to change it from 46 parcels to linear footage frontage.
I'm sorry, Dawn, could you step up to the podium so the folks at home can hear your question as well?
Just a quick question. If, like the gentleman said, he wants the project approached a different way, just besides the 46, how we signed the petition originally, wouldn't we now have to come back around with another petition to change it to linear frontage, however you say it? And that would delay the process, which could cause us to lose that 80% coverage. That's how I understood it. I just want to know if that's correct or not.
Jack, can you answer that?
I've got to check something here.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes, sir.
Could I make one comment?
Yes.
I live in the Harmony Lane subdivision, and we went through this, I don't know, what, 10 years ago? Maybe not quite. But there, we were assessed on a parcel basis, just like is being proposed here. It's not just the ease of doing it, it's the fairness. It's the corners. People can argue how close they are. And this is done it's done on a per parcel. So if a person has 2 lots, buildable lots that are there being used as a single-family home, they're paying for 2 parcels. But that's exactly the way it was handled back when they did the Harmony Lane Special Assessment District.
Trustee, very correct. There, in this, I'm not sure about the residential lots in this SAD, but the restaurant, I can't remember the name of it, but the restaurant actually has 2 parcels that are included within it.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
I think that's also true how we did it a few years back when we did Hannon Road in Bemis. It was on the same 2080 from the county, and it was by parcel.
So just to clarify, this is, the assessment that everyone's gonna be charged is not based on lot. It's based on linear footage, right?
No.
We just said that.
No,
No.
Linear footage per parcel?
No,
no.
Well, you just said that.
I didn't say that.
It's based on per parcel only, not linear footage.
That's not what I heard. That's what was
Parcel,
confusing.
number of
That's why I got back
parcels
up
in the
here. You said
subdivision.
it was based on linear
I
footage.
didn't say that, sir. I said that the
Okay, what is it
number,
being based
the
on then?
percentage, the 72% figure was based on linear footage, but the assessment is based per parcel. That was the comment that I made.
Okay, a little confusing there. Thank you.
I don't know, but I'm not happy with your way you're assessing it. This thing has got 5 corner lots, and they're awful long lots. Now, there's an awful lot of linear footage, and if I owned one of those corner lots, I'd be up here hollering, but I don't own a corner lot. However, I have all these corner lots in my subdivision. I also have a big church, which owns not only the church lot, it owns a home lot, plus an extra lot. Man, that thing is for freezies, for freebies, but not for me. I've got to pay for all this stuff. And I want to make my name known right now that I'm objecting to it. I don't like the way you're coming up with assessing this property for the road.
Okay.
Now, I've gone along with the roads every time they've come up, but they assessed it by the footage. Not just by the parcel. The parcel, that's not gonna get it.
Sir, could I have your name and address, please?
My name is Howard Nugent, and I live at 11507 DeWitt. I'm right on up. I'm on the corner, but I'm not on the corner, I'm a straightaway.
Okay, our secretary has made note of that.
Pardon?
Our secretary has made note of that,
Very
so
good.
you are on record as having,
I'm complaining about it.
thank you.
Hi there, I'm Larry Myers, I live on Venetian, and I'm for the roads. And I've been there for 25 years, and they tried to do these roads 3 or 4 times. And it was the trucks coming down my road tore it up, and Wayne County said they were gonna pay for it, and never did. They ran out of money. I talked to Belleville, I talked to Van Buren. It's not their roads, it's Wayne County roads. Now that they want to pay 80%, I think people are getting confused. They're giving us 80%, then the balance is divided between the 46 homes. It's not footage, the lineage footage, you're paying one, of 46 homes. I think that's a fair, and once you tell these people if they want to turn this down, within 3 or 4 years, you want to put roads in there, say if you did, we have no say-so, right? And it could be 10,000, correct? Because they're unsafe, the buses come through there, picking up kids. So people don't understand that. They can fix these roads later down the line, and you're stuck with whatever they tell you you gotta pay.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
It's just a question.
Sure.
Is there a way that you disseminate information, maybe on your website or some other way? Because we're all getting bits and pieces of information from different people, and I think it's causing like confusion, and like tonight, we've been able to impart a lot of really concrete, like basic line answers. And so is there a way we can come at you, maybe on your website, that we can get some answers to some of
This
these
is
issues?
your opportunity to get all your questions answered. We've had one public hearing, this is another public hearing. This is the public's chance to ask their questions and get answers for them.
Okay, because it's innuendo, rumor.
Sure.
Everybody's coming up with their own questions. They say they hear this or that, and I don't know where they're getting that information.
Right.
They're making it as if they know somebody here or there within the township, and they're getting bits and pieces of information. And then I think it's causing some unnecessary hard feelings or confusion.
Right.
Ma'am, I think what the confusion is that we're Van Buren Township. We don't fix roads. We don't own roads. We don't fix roads. We don't have the money to fix roads. Wayne County owns most of the county roads, unless it's a public road, I mean a private road. Unless it's a private road, either owned by Wayne County or the state of Michigan. The Wayne County has came to the local municipality and offered some money, at the tune of $750,000 to fix Wayne County, some roads that's identified that can be fixed, Wayne County Road. Your roads has been identified. They're gonna offer 80% of the total amount, and you'll be assessed 20%. Otherwise, if you wanna fix the road, you'll be identified, you will pay 100% of the road. If you come to the township and say, we would like to have our roads fixed, we can do a special assessment, but it'll cost you 100% to do it, and you'll be assessed 100%. But we don't have the money to fix roads. Obviously, the state of Michigan don't have the money to fix roads. That's why we have these type of roads. You know, the gentleman said he just moved here. Yeah, we have some of the worst roads in the United States, but we don't have the money to fix it. So that's what's so confusing, because we're not in the road fixing business. We don't do it. This is a special opportunity that we're offering to people on Jeanette, Venetian, and what's the other street? DeWitt. And like I said at the last meeting, the people on Andover, Lancaster, Churchill, and other subdivision would love to have that opportunity, but we're offering it to these roads. I drove down the roads too. They need the attention. I think they need to be fixed. They're in a dire situation. And I think this is a perfect opportunity, but this is a democracy, and we're having this meeting that everybody is alluding to. This is the meeting. This is the public hearing. This is what Mr. Knowles was alluding to when he told you have the opportunity to ask the question that you have regarding the assessments and the role and all this. This is the meeting. It is no other meeting. This is the meeting, and we're having it right now. And so you had an opportunity to ask any questions that you have. But I think why it's so confusing is because we don't do this. This is a special opportunity that we're offering the people on your street and other two streets. And that's why when we don't have it on the website, it's not information on the website, it's something that we're offering to your community and Walton Woods, and that's the tune of the money. That's it. Unless they offer another bundle of money sometime later, this is it. It's a one-shot deal.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary Parsons, and I live on Jeanette Street. And I think you maybe don't understand the confusion that we have the confusion over. And that's the point that when Gary came around and gave the petition, we were ones who didn't sign the petition. Not because we thought the roads were a terrible idea, but knowing that the special assessment, by signing the petition, I had even asked him, so you're guaranteeing me that if I put my name on this petition, I'm not saying I want the roads, I'm saying I want a meeting so I can hear about the roads. And he assured me time and again, and I'm sure he can remember it because we went round and round. And I said, you know, your signature is valuable, and we do live in a democracy. And if I want to vote for something with my signature, I want to know what I'm voting for, right? I teach government, I teach my kids that all the time. So when he came to our house and I said, I got a lot of questions. And he said, oh, that's what the meeting's for. We're gonna ask questions. But that's not what the meeting's for. The special assessment, by signing it, we've made that 72%, right? So the special assessment can go through. This is clarification, right? I mean, if I go to the state of Michigan, I can read how a special assessment works. So it's a done deal. This is just to clarify. And I think that's the frustration for those people, those homeowners, because they were misled. So, you know, it's not a matter of if I would vote yes or no for the roads. I just want to know what you're voting for. And I think that's the part that's frustrating. I understand. I mean, I even said to him, what if you don't get enough from Jeanette? Could you go for 2 roads? We'll find that out at the meeting, he told me. All right. But that's, you know, and I appreciate that he was willing to go get signatures. I appreciate all of that. But if you don't know what you're talking about, it's kind of misleading to the people who signed the petition. So my question is the petition valid if it was misrepresented?
Well, if I can answer that question, you're not gonna like it, but most petitions are misrepresented.
Oh, gosh.
Most petitions are. if you go, I'm just being honest, if you go to door to door, if you have someone.
understand that,
and you,
and that's why I warn
that's
the
why you're
kids,
saying, if you
don't
go to
sign
door to
your
door
name,
and you
it's
have,
valuable.
if you have
It's
someone
valuable.
presenting a petition,
Right.
they might not have all the 100% of the facts there,
Right.
but it's a petition to let you know what's going on.
Right.
And
But
like
the
we,
petition was presented as, this is simply so we can find out about it. We're not saying yes or no. We're simply finding out. Are you
but the
kidding?
fact of the matter, she has the right, now she can say yes or no.
Okay, and, you know, and that's fine.
Okay,
That's
This is
fine.
a public hearing.
right.
That's fine. And I appreciate it. I understand where you're coming from. I just think it's
Right.
important for you to understand where citizens are frustrated, right? When you made the comment about democracy, you're right, you know? It is democracy, but we should be, at least have the knowledge of what it is we're saying yay or nay to with our tax money. That's all I'm saying.
And this is your
This is your
opportunity, if
opportunity.
you don't want the project,
Right,
this is your opportunity to say so and be recorded as having said so.
right, so that I can go on to petition, right?
No,
If you sign your name now, you're
saying
saying
nay.
you
Correct.
don't want the project.
Right.
Right.
Well, you're saying you
So
don't
if we
want
have
the
less, so if we have, if after this meeting happens,
Right.
there's no longer a 72%, then that would change.
yes,
If there were enough people that signed that they did not want
Right.
to be on the tax roll. If there was.
So are
It don't
you
work like
objecting?
that.
Pardon me?
I think it's, I think that's, I
I'm not
think
sure.
that's right.
I'm not sure. I
Madam
don't know.
Yes.
Supervisor, I see heads being shaken back there. I think maybe there should be a clarification.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you didn't sign it.
You're right. And why didn't I?
When you're done.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm done. Thank you so
Dave,
much. I
thank
appreciate it.
Dave's shaking his head.
All right.
Madam Supervisor.
Can- let's let our engineer clarify this for us.
All right. I'll try to give Special Assessments 101 in 30 seconds or less. Hopefully it's understandable.
Folks, please.
We can't have
Are you gonna tap it?
that. Madam Supervisor.
Thank you.
All right.
There's
When
comments going on.
Okay,
we have a resident that
we-
goes around to,
can we take side conversations outside of the room, please, so we can hear what Dave is saying? Thank you.
okay, couple different things being tossed around here, so I'll try to explain it to you the way that I understand it. Hopefully that'll be understandable to everybody else. When there's a petition, a project that wants to be petitioned for a special assessment, be it whether there's county money or not, any kind of a special assessment project, we'll have a resident come down and request a petition by the township. The township will go through and determine who in the area, who the property owners are, because that petition has to be signed by the legal property owners. If it's on your deed, it's just the husband, or it's husband and wife, they both have to sign if they're both on the deed, that type of thing. So the township would prepare the petition. Then the residents would go out and have the petition signed. Typically what happens is, and when we meet with residents and talk about special assessment districts, we tell them, you want to get as much, if you want this to be considered favorably, you want to get as much support for your position, or your petition as you can, because it makes it easier for the board to accept it, it makes it easier for the residents to accept it. So if everybody's in agreement, if it came in and there was 100% signatures on it, it would be slam dunk, it would be easy. If there's not 100% signatures on it, there's always somebody that's going to be upset because they didn't sign it or they didn't want it. And then that puts the board in a difficult position because you have to make a determination. If it's 99%, maybe it's easy. You know, if it's 51%, that's a very difficult decision to make. So we always tell people, try to get as many signatures on the petition as you can. The signatures, as they're done, as it's determined through the special assessment process, represent the front footage of the parcels that are signing the petition. And we tell people that you need at least 50%. We recommend that you get 60, 70, 80, 90 if you can, okay? In this instance, we got, I believe, 72% of the front footage of the parcels signed the petition. Now, signing the petition doesn't mean that you're agreeing to the special assessment. It doesn't mean that you waive your rights to any hearings or anything like that. All of that petition does is get us to where we were 2 weeks ago at the first hearing. That petition, when it's signed, is a signal to the board to say, there's a lot of people that are interested in this project. Let's do the initial investigation, get the estimate together, and then hold the public hearing. And that's what the previous public hearing was for. That was for talking about the necessity of the project. If people wanted the project, if they didn't want the project. Even if you sign the petition, you can come in and say, you know what, I've reconsidered, I don't like the project. If you did sign the petition, you can come in and say, oh, I changed my mind, I do like the project. But that's the opportunity at the meeting that we held 2 weeks ago for people to give their input on whether they like the project, whether they don't like the project. It's their opportunity to ask questions. You know, what are you going to do with my mailbox? What are you going to do with the road? How wide is it going to be? What's the cross-section going to be? All those types of things. So that's the point in time when the township staff and the professionals and the board have a chance to hear the questions from the residents and try to disseminate the information. So that's the best time to do that. And at that last public hearing is when, after that last public hearing was held, then the board had a decision to make. You had to decide whether or not to determine that this was a necessary project and then move ahead through the process. We're in step 2 of the process right now because you had that public hearing at the last meeting. You said, yep, we're going to go ahead with this. This seems to be a good project. It seems to be supported by a large number of the residents. And it's, frankly, it's a good opportunity financially because the county's kicking in a large portion of the money. The public hearing that we're having tonight has a little different twist to it. And at this point now, how many signatures you have on the petition or what percentage of the frontage that represents doesn't mean anything anymore because all that did was get you to the first meeting. What we have tonight is for the residents to come up and say, we understand that the township is moving forward with this project. We understand that the assessments are going to be this amount per year, and it's going to be over a 5-year period. That's what you're proposing. And this is their opportunity to come up and say, this is my name, this is my address, and I formally oppose this assessment. And I think they need to say those 3 things, because I hear some confusion with the board and the recorder to know exactly, people are talking about they don't like the project, they have questions, but I think that they need to really state, I'm opposed to paying this assessment, and to get that on the record. And then we'll have a very distinct list of those that said, I'm opposed to paying this position, or this assessment. Now, even if we get a bunch of people that say that this evening, at the conclusion of the public hearing, the board once again has a decision to make, and this is a board decision to make, to decide whether or not you're going to establish the role, based on the input that you had this evening and all the other factors that have come out over the last couple of weeks and the other previous hearings. If the role gets established by the board tonight, it's incumbent upon the people that came up here and said, this is my name, this is my address, and I oppose this assessment. It's incumbent upon them then to take action with the state tribunal, tax tribunal. That's something that they have to initiate. The township doesn't do that for them. Regardless of what they do or what happens with that, if the project moves ahead, we determine the costs, we bid the project out. At the time we bid the project, we'll have a much better estimate of what it's going to be, and we can make that information known to the board and to the public. When we get done with the project, when it's finished, we'll have an exact figure of what it's going to cost, and then that cost gets assessed out to the properties. Those people then that are appealing that or going to the tax tribunal, it's the same as appealing your property taxes. You go and say to the tribunal, I think my property taxes are too high for this, this, and this, and this reason. It's the same thing for the special assessment. They would go in and appeal that on an individual basis, but that's incumbent upon the individuals to do that. Hopefully that helps to wrap up or explain the process. If there are any questions, happy to address them.
That was very concise. I appreciate that very much. Does that give people a clear idea of what is going on here?
Right.
And I think they should
Right.
come up
That's why I wanted to know,
state
so I
that
can
they are
make the decision.
Anyone who is opposed to this project,
not the project.
no, not the project, the assessment method,
Nope,
what?
to just the tax
Tax
levy.
levy.
Okay, anyone, I'll get it right. anyone here that's opposed to having this put on their taxes, this tax levy, needs to come up, state your name, address, and say that you are opposed to this.
Catherine Howard, 45-131 Jeanette, and I oppose the way it's being assessed. I was told it would be linear footage of the frontage. The gentleman just said that on the corner lots, it was only going to be derived on the frontage, not the side, and I feel that a lot of people that have a corner lot are very fearful that they were going to have having to be assessed all the way along their side besides their frontage. And I stand my ground that I would like to see the project go through. I am not against the project. I am against the way the assessment is being divvied up. I think it is unfair.
Thank you.
Douglas Wells, 45131 Jeanette Avenue. Yeah, I'm opposed to the way it's being divvied up too. I know that the roads have to be done, but I think there's a fair way of doing it.
Hello, my name's Debbie Allen, and I live at 45116 Jeanette, the corner of Jeanette and DeWitt. So we have that long side on DeWitt that we're going to be assessed for. And also we have that huge ditch that I would like something to come out and look at that. I do not feel that that's the right assessment that we should be having. I'm all for the new roads coming in, but, you know, something needs to be done a little bit more differently. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Can I just sit here? Have you already accepted Jerry Long's letter on record? That was Mr. Mercurio's letter.
I don't have anything in my possession from anyone else.
She said it was given to you, and so.
Given to me?
She gave me verbal permission then to state the fact that Terry and George Long protest the entire job for, I don't know what her address is. She's on the corner of DeWitt and Jeanette.
You can't do that for her, Catherine. I have not had a letter from anyone objecting to the project.
To the roll.
The roll. We're doing
Or the
roll
roll.
tonight.
Either one. She said she objected to the whole project. I have not had a letter from anyone in objection to anything to do with this, other than this letter that you gave me tonight from Lori Mercurio. Okay.
Madam Supervisor, make
Yes.
a motion that the public hearing be closed.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion from Treasurer Bud and support from Trustee Jar to close the public hearing. Is there discussion on that motion?
The phone ring.
Hearing none. Public. Is there discussion on that motion from members of the public?
You don't have any.
Okay, no, not on public hearing? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. The public hearing is closed at 8:46, I'm sorry. Let me see where I'm at. Yeah. Okay, we will go to correspondence at this point.
What? They don't, yeah.
Nobody really told us of this.
What? I'm not gonna jump in.
Ain't nothing to jump into it. I just don't understand. That's the problem. What are you doing this? Can you sign? I'm going to sign too.
Okay. if I could ask you to step out in the hallway for conversation, we do have more items on our agenda that we have to take care of. Please.
Get some water, please. Can we get some water in here, please?
Folks, please take your conversation out in the hall because we do have more business to take care of. Thank you. Chief Besson, under correspondence, please.
Good evening. As you know, I sent to the board an update on our hiring process. This hiring process started with about 20-some candidates. We are down to our last 9 candidates. From that process, we've hired 5 so far. And again, we have 9 left that are in somewhere in a variety of the process. So from that, the 9 that are remaining, 4 of them live in Van Buren Township, so we're pretty excited about that. Some of them come with their training already ahead of time, again, which helps us out too. So, and then a couple are slated, of course, once they go through the rest of the process to get us.
Can't close the door.
Can't close it.
the door.
Once they complete the process, then they'll be on board. So a couple live in Sumter Township, there's a couple just on the other side of Rossville and Ypsilanti Township, so we're looking pretty good. I think it's been a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we hired 2 firefighters, Steve Orloff and Aaron Laddick. Steve couldn't be here tonight, his work has taken him out to Cleveland, so Aaron's here to be introduced. He has 3 years of prior experience at the city of Romulus as a firefighter. He has moved into Van Buren Township. He currently works at Huron Township as a 911 dispatcher and assortment of other places. He works for a specialty rescue company as well, so he's now all that harness and climbing down tall buildings or down tall buildings and down in big holes and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce Aaron to you guys and welcome him aboard.
Thank you, sir.
If I didn't state, he does have his Fire 1 and 2 and has his EMT license also, so he'll hit the ground running. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have an article of correspondence, I think. I don't have it. I do not. Okay, does anyone on the board have any correspondence they would like to read? Okay. I had one, but I do not have it with me. I will say it at the next board meeting. We will move on to public comment. Discussion is now open for public comment on new business items only. Is there anyone who would wish to speak on a new business item? I see no hands. We have no unfinished business. We'll move on to new business. Item number 1 is to consider the approval of the contract with R.W. Mercer Company to rebuild and upgrade the Township Hall fueling station, which includes a 10% contingency not to exceed a total amount of $58,003. Superintendent Turner, please.
Hi, good evening. As you know, we've went out for bids to rehab and repair our fuel station here for the township. We received 1 bid, and we have thoroughly vetted them, and everything is ready for your approval. One note is, under the attorney recommendation, it says it's under review, and I've sent that memo to you from our attorney saying it's all been approved, it's ready for signature, if the board wishes to approve the item.
Yes, I did receive that today. Thank you very much. Our attorney has approved the form and substance of the documents and recommends to the Township Board that they consider the approval of the contract in standard terms and conditions and authorize its execution.
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
I move that we approve the contract with R.W. Mercer to rebuild and upgrade the Township Hall fueling station.
Support.
I have a motion from trustee Jar and support from clerk Wright to approve the contract with R.W. Mercer and execute that contract as such. Are there questions or comments on the motion?
Just a comment.
Yes.
This was discussed at our study session, and all the information was presented in our package, so we've reviewed it, and I think it's appropriate. And I would also note the comment that we are going to be upgrading the security in the future with this equipment.
Yes. Are there any further comments from members of the board? Okay, hearing none. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is to approve the first reading of ordinance 05-19-2015, parentheses 1, to implement rezoning request approval for parcel V 125-83-118-99-0020-000 from C local business to R1A single family residential as recommended by the Planning Commission. Director Knowles, please.
Yes. Planning Commission's reviewed, held a public hearing on April 8, 2015, and recommends the rezoning of the subject parcel. This is a 0.55 acre parcel. It's on the south side of Heron River Drive, east of Rawsonville Road. It's actually just behind the Rite Aid store, east of it. It's currently zoned C, local business. The proposed rezoning is R1A, single-family residential. It has a non-conforming status, but due to the length of time that the property's been vacant, it has lost the non-conforming status, and thus the request for the rezoning. The property was recently purchased by Mr. Woodward, and he plans on eventually living there after the rezoning process. I know, I just talking to him, he has some improvements planned for his home.
Okay, thank you. And this is a first reading. This will come back to us again on the 2nd of June for the second reading. Thank you. Let's see what I have to do here.
Madam
Yes.
Supervisor, I move that we approve the first reading of ordinance 05-19-2015, parent 1, close parent, to implement the rezoning request for the parcel that previously read. And this is based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Okay, I have a motion from trustee Jar and support from treasurer Bud to approve the first reading of this ordinance as presented. Are there further comments from members of the board? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 3 is to consider the approval of the first reading of ordinance 0519-15, paren 2, close paren, to amend the Charter Township of Van Buren zoning ordinance 6-2-92 as amended to permit outdoor dining and table service in the C1 General Business Zoning District. Director Knowles again.
Thank you. The Planning Commission reviewed and recommended the new text to allow and regulate outdoor dining in the C1 district. I want to say that this is a outcome from the project that's planned on the former Big Boy site. When that site plan came in, they had indicated outdoor dining in 2 locations on that plan, but our ordinance has no provisions for such. So that's what the ordinance was put together to address. The ordinance outlines such things as location and access, dates of operation, signage, hours of operation, when administrative approval is possible, and when site plan approval is necessary. Again, this is the first reading, and that's what we're looking for approval on this evening.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments from members of the board?
Supervisor Combs?
Yes.
I make the motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 05-19-15, parentheses 2, to amend the Charter Township of Van Buren zoning ordinance 6-2-92 as amended to permit outdoor dining and table service in the C1, parentheses General Business Zoning District.
Support.
I have a motion from Clerk Wright and support from Trustee Miller to approve the first reading of this ordinance as presented. Is there further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4 is to consider approval of Resolution 2015-19, the Venetian, Jeanette, and DeWitt Road Improvement District Special Assessment District Assessment Roll. Director Knowles.
Thank you. As was so eloquently explained previously by Mr. Newmer, this is to approve the roll for the Special Assessment District. I do wish to note that on the resolution, on the first page, under the fourth, where it says, "and whereas," you will note, you'll have to say that objections were received and are included in the minutes of this meeting. So you have to make that amendment to the resolution prior to voting on it.
Okay.
Just that language, Jim?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It doesn't have to recite the objections, just
Correct.
note that they...
That is correct.
Okay, there. Secretary has noted that amendment. So, is there discussion on this item? Questions or comments from the board? Rena? Yes.
I make a motion to approve, excuse me, Resolution 2015-19 for the Venetian, Jeanette, and DeWitt Road Improvement District Special Assessment District Roll.
Support.
Okay.
And
to
noting
add,
the
note that-
change in the sentence where there was some
Objections, yeah.
Thank you. I have a motion from Treasurer Bud and support from Clerk Wright. Is there discussion on the motion?
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
You know, we had a lengthy public hearing on this, and I think it merits some comment. I think the people have to realize that this is a one-time opportunity, as Clerk Wright pointed out. And I guess, you know, the answers that we don't know all of the answers to all of the questions because we're trying to accommodate, we're trying to help the people. We don't want to lose the opportunity to get the money from Wayne County. So the bottom line is I'm certainly in favor of the motion. I think that it's fair. I explained to the people this is the way previous rolls were established based on a per parcel. I suppose you can argue any way you want to argue it, but the bottom line is we want to proceed expeditiously and utilize the funds that are available from the county to try to benefit the residents. So I will be voting in favor of the motion.
I completely agree with you, Trustee Jar. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the folks in that area to get those really bad roads fixed at the majority of the expense being borne by the county. And as you said, we will not get another bite at the apple here, I don't think, given the financial situation of the county, so we need to take advantage while we can.
Madam
So I
Supervisor, we
agree.
can always discuss the mechanics,
Sure.
how things are to be applied, but again,
Absolutely.
this was the way it's been done in the past. It's proven to be fair. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel in a short period of time. So I hope that the people will appreciate that the board is stepping in, not trying to shove something down their throat, but to try to take advantage of money that's available to help them.
Right, and as you explained with your subdivision and Clerk Wright explained with his, this is the norm of how you do these types of things. So with that being said, let's see where I'm at here. I lose my place. I have a motion on the floor. Is there any further comment from members of the board? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Thank you. Item number 5 is to consider approval of Resolution 2015-20, authorizing a loan to Venetian, Jeanette, and DeWitt Road Improvement District Special Assessment District from the Landfill Fund. Director Knowles.
That is exactly what it is, Madam Supervisor. This is the loan from the landfill fund to fund the project. The township will be reimbursed 100%. Looking for action on this item.
Okay, and this is to be repaid over a 5-year period of time with an interest rate of 1% above the average rate of interest borne by special assessment bonds issued by the township.
Supervisor Gomes?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to consider approval of resolution 2015-20 authorizing a loan to Venetian, Jeanette, and DeWitt Road Improvement District Special Assessment District from the landfill fund.
Support? Support. I have a motion from Clerk Wright and support from Trustee Miller to consider the approval of resolution 2015-20 as presented. Are there further comments from members of the board? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 6 is to consider approval of the memorandum of understanding between Walden Woods Homeowners Association and the township for road rehabilitation funding under the Wayne County Local Roads Initiative Program. Director Knowles.
Yes, as previously noted, Walden Woods does not require an SAD because they have the funds in hand for the 20% match. So this is simply a memorandum of understanding between the township and the homeowners association, stating basically what they're going to pay and when those funds will be due, which is actually prior to the township soliciting bids.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I just want to make the statement so everyone, for people that don't understand, for the homeowner association, because while Walden Wood has money, they collect association dues, and they've been paying special assessments to fix the road. So they understand that this is a once-in-a-lifetime shot, and they come in with the money in hand to take care of the roads in their subdivision. So that's why we're not setting up a special assessment district for them. They have the monies already.
And our
With
only
that-
involvement in that is the liaison
Right.
between the county and the
Right.
folks.
With that being said, I make the motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Walden Wood Homeowner Association and the Township for roads rehabilitation funding under the Wayne County Local Roads Initiative Program.
Support. I have a motion from Clerk Wright and support from Treasurer Bud to approve the memorandum of understanding between Walden Woods Homeowners Association and the Township for the road rehab funding under the Wayne County Local Roads Initiative. Are there further comments from members of the board? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 7 is to consider approval of Resolution 2015-21, that being the contract with Wayne County for the Local Road Initiative Program, and authorize the supervisor and clerk to execute the agreement. Director Knowles.
Yes, this is the agreement between the township and Wayne County for the Local Roads Initiative Program. We're requesting that the board approve this contract at the meeting this evening to expedite the paperwork and keep this project on schedule. When the county receives the signed agreement, they will process a payment to the township for $187,500 to help initiate engineering design services. The sooner the contract is processed, the sooner the funds will be in hand. Township has received a modified contract for participating in the 2014 Wayne County Local Roads Initiative Program. This is where the county reimburses 80% of the construction costs of rehabbing and improving certain local roads, subject to the 20% local match. I do want to note that the township attorney has reviewed this. There may be some minor corrections to it forthcoming, but I would like to have you approve it pending his review and comments this evening.
Okay. Thank you. Is there discussion on this from members of the board?
Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to consider approval of Resolution 2015-21, the contract with Wayne County for the Local Road Initiative Program, and authorize the supervisor and clerk to execute the agreement.
And that is pending the
Pending
approval of the attorney?
Pending the attorney
Support.
revisions. Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion from Trustee Miller and support from Clerk Wright to approve the contract between Van Buren Township and Wayne County for the Local Roads Initiative pending revisions from the attorney. I lost the word for a second. Pending any revision from our township attorney. Is there a discussion on that motion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item number 8, to consider approval of the contract with Wade Trim to perform engineering services under the Wayne County Local Roads Initiative Program for, number 1, the Venetian, Jeanette, and DeWitt Road Improvement District Special Assessment District in the amount of $45,000, and the Walden Woods Homeowners Association for $8,500, and authorize the supervisor and clerk to execute the agreement. Director Knowles once more.
Yes, again, this is the contractor between the township and Wade Trim for the design engineering of both projects, the Jeanette DeWitt and Venetian project and the Walden Woods project. The cost of the SAD project is $45,000 for engineering, and Walden Woods is $8,500. Mr. Newmer is here this evening if board has any specific questions for him.
Okay, thank you. Thank goodness Mr. Newmer's here this evening. He has been a big help to this board. This, as I understand it, is a standard contract for engineering services, and it is detailed as to what's going to be provided for that sum, and it is within the normal scope of the cost of something like this. Does anyone on the board have any questions of Engineer Newmer or of Director Knowles?
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the contract between Van Buren Township and Wade Trim to perform the engineering services under the Wayne County Local Roads Initiative Program for the Venetian, Jeanette, and DeWitt Road Improvement District Special Assessment in the amount of $45,000, and the Walden Woods Homeowners Association for $8,500, and authorize the supervisor and the clerk to execute the agreement.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion from Treasurer Bud and support from Clerk Wright to approve the contract with Wade Trim to perform the engineering services as described. Is there further comment from members of the board? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, those opposed nay. Motion carries, thank you. We have the March 2015 budgetary report. We will order that received and filed. That is on file in the clerk's office for anyone who wishes to take a look at that. Under announcements, I did have a couple of announcements, but unfortunately, they're on my desk. So I will, one of them is the museum is having an antiques appraisal fair, and I believe that is on the 21st, I believe. And also, the senior center has something going on, and for the life of me, I can't think of it. However, it will be on our website.
And it'll be a good event.
Yes, it will. There are always good events with the senior center. And I do apologize for not having that information, but it will be posted on our website, and everyone can go to vanburen-mi.org. Okay, does anyone else have any announcements to make?
I have a short one.
Okay, Clerk Wright.
Put my help on. The clerk office assisted Belleville High School with their student council election, providing a lifelike voting experience, and also celebrating a milestone for the project, in which myself and the clerk department office is proud of. For the graduating seniors of the class of 2015, we have provided this experience throughout their entire high school career, 4-year terms. For the previous election, which was last Tuesday, there were 788 students who voted out of a possible 1,309 students, 60% of 9th, 10th, and 11th grade students. Because the 12th grade students they don't vote. They help with the elections. And that were up 8% from the previous year. Also, eligible students were also registered to vote, and 26 students registered. In addition, there were 11 students who completed voter application to become an election inspector, 8 applications more than last year. This project was made possible by a generous donation from the Cozart Rotary Foundation, and we thank them heavily. And also, a little bit more information that I would like to share. The 2014 election, I noticed an increase in the 18 to 20-year-old voter participation in Van Buren Township was up by roughly 4%. I'm going to contribute that to the education that was provided in the high school, since that's the only other data that I have. I truly believe if you go into the high school and you teach the kids at an early age, that encourage them to participate once they turn 18, not only to register to vote, but to vote, and not give them that lifelong experience, which the board has, I think all the board members has experienced that within the last 4 years. Trustee Miller was there this past Tuesday, and I know some of the other board members wanted to be there. Supervisor Combs came by, but some of the other board members had other things on the agenda. But they all have experiences throughout the last 4 years. It's very close to me. I think it's important that we experience, and I'm happy that I'm able to share this with the kids in Belleville High Schools and Van Buren School District. Also, the Township Administrative Office will be closed on Monday, this coming Monday, May 25th, in honor of Memorial Day. And with that being said, everyone have a happy Memorial Day. That concludes my announcement.
Announcements? Okay. I will make one announcement that just came to mind as the clerk was giving that. The Thunder Rolls program will be held in the city of Belleville once again at Victory Park, and the township will participate in that as usual. If you have some time on Monday, on the actual holiday, the 25th, please come down to Victory Park and participate. It's bikers from all over pay money to come and participate in this, and they have a huge showing of bikes, and it's all in honor of our veterans, and the money goes for veterans programs. So please, by all means, come down and see that. It's a pretty awesome experience. Pardon? I believe it starts, the program starts at 2 o'clock. The bikes leave Wayne County Community College at 1, and they make a loop down through the township and through the city, and I think even part of Sumter Township. But at any rate, they wind up in the city at 2 o'clock. So,
They're at Veterans Memorial, not Patriot Park.
thank you. Horizon Park. I knew I had that wrong. Thank you, Rosemary. That is at the Veterans Memorial at Horizon Park. So please come out there and help support and show your appreciation for our veterans. There are no other announcements. We will go to non-agenda items. Is there anyone who would like to bring up a non-agenda item before the board? See no hands. We have no closed session, and adjournment would be in order.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Treasurer Budd and support from Trustee Miller to adjourn. That's not debatable. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. We stand adjourned at 9:15 p.m. Thank you very much.